back, listeners. Before we went on our short break, we talked about questions that our listeners had put in our comment section, and then some people actually sent us a DM anonymously, but we're going to read the top 3 questions for the sake of time, okay? The first question says, how can professionals effectively navigate milestone anxiety, the psychological distress that arises when personal achievements do not align with cultural or societal expectations of success? Desiana, would you like to, I know that question is vague, so I had asked the person what they really meant by that. And then the person responded to me by saying that as a young African, I understand that there is anxiety, but what about anxiety to fail? How do I cope with that? Especially when I'm supposed to attain a milestone and I feel I have not achieved what society wants me to achieve. How do I deal with it?
Fear of failure. That's a great question. The fear of failure is within all of us who's trying to achieve things. But the goal is not to remove the ambition, right? It's not to stop being ambitious, but to reduce the paralyzed feelings. That feelings that make you feel like I'm not good enough. That not good enough feeling that I'm not where I should be. Well, society said that I'm supposed to be here, but I'm not here. So it's to remove that shame, that overthinking, right? And just get into that thought process is like, I am where I'm supposed to be. Evaluate yourself, right? And retrain your thought. There is this little thing that we call in therapy named CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. And there's an intervention called reframing your thoughts, right? So you change the way you think. Evaluate yourself, where I am, right? Where I want to be. And you look at it. Did I achieve what I set for myself? Not what society set for me, but what I set for myself. And you change your thought process and you said, well, I am good enough, right? So you're breaking that anxiety feeling because now you're in your own space and in your own thoughts and in your own head, trying to achieve the things that you choose to achieve, but not what society tell you where you're supposed to be. Once you do that, you're going to see yourself start climbing back the ladder now because you're building that confidence within yourself. And eventually, when you set those goals, maybe it might be within society goals, right? But when you're achieving it, it's within your own goals. So that pressure is taken off of you. So just evaluate yourself based on where you want to go. Look at your value. What is your value? What you value of yourself? What do you want to achieve, right? And try to aim for that. And reframe your thoughts process by not thinking of what society tells you, but what you want to achieve as an individual.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is at the end of the day, you have to watch your thoughts like, oh, I'm an underachiever. So instead of having those thoughts that I'm not an achiever, you could reframe your thoughts by saying, you know what, even though the society thinks of me in a certain way, I should think of myself, the thoughts blocking, the thoughts stopping, the thought reframing. I know I'm going to get to where I'm going to. I may not be there right now. Does not mean I'm a failure.
No.
Is that what I'm trying? Yes. That's what you're trying to say.
Yes, you're not a failure. Mm-hmm. Set your goals. Reevaluate your goals. Mm-hmm. What are your goals? You see, that's the problem we have when we don't set goals for ourselves and we just let society tell us what our goals are. Mm-hmm. We have to set our goals for ourselves and say, this is where I should be such in that time, because he did talk about time frame, right? Mm-hmm. So where you want to go in a certain time, right? And then you could evaluate and say, well, I'm not there yet. So what can I do to get there? Mm-hmm. But when society give you this vague, wide range and you see your schoolmates and people in your community achieving things that you didn't achieve, mm-hmm. and you wish you were there. Did you set that goal for yourself? You don't understand how hard that person had worked, what goal that person had set and prioritized to be where they are. So you take it back to you. Evaluate yourself. Set your goals. Write it down. Make it plain and try to achieve it.
Okay. And track your milestones. I like that.
I'm sorry. Let me just add a little to what she said. So when you write those goals down, follow it up. When you follow it up, the good thing with doing that is this. When you don't achieve it at the particular time you want, you must have a reason. for not achieving it. So what you do is you review
Yes.
and then go back again and continue. Remember, for the most part, sometimes it's not even achieving that is the case. The case is to keep trying.
Yes.
That's just the case. Keep trying.
Keep trying.
Nicole, would you like to add something to that before I go to the next question?
No. I think everybody covered it as much as possible. Yeah. Just keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
Good. Yes, keep going, guys. Do not let anything hold you back. Keep going. So the next question is from, I think, a lady. She says, my own anxiety is due to me TTC after 5 years in marriage. So TTC means me trying to conceive after 5 years in marriage. How do I cope when society puts the pressure on me? My parents, my in-laws are giving me a hard time and putting me under pressure to have children.
Yeah. So, I mean, even though I am a mom, I do understand and recognize that as a woman, there is this pressure that you don't have value if you're not married, and if you're not a mom. So the first thing is to really recognize where your value lies. You are an individual, you are a person, you are a wife, your husband, your spouse saw value in you that he wanted to, marry you and to connect with you. So recognize and relish in that. And then there is a part of you that has to accept if you're unable to conceive, if the doctors, if you've consulted with them and they've expressed to you that it's not possible by physical conception, and you tried and you've exhausted other means like IVF, then accept that, as a mother or as a woman, you will not be a mother by natural conception. But there are so many other ways that you can mother. There are probably people in your life that have, whether you're an auntie, whether you're a godmother, what have you, there are people in your life that have looked to you to nurture them and to mother them in certain aspects. So you are rich, your quiver is still full, even if you do not conceive a child, if you have that. If you do not have those people in your life, and you still long and want to be a mother, are you able to adopt? Have you had that conversation? And then if those conversations have had and those things are off the table, then you have to accept the fact that this dream, this desire may not happen. But accept that and to commit to still moving forward. What does God have for you? What is your purpose? Aside from being a mother, aside from being a wife, what are you contributing to society? A lot of people don't recognize that a business, you have to give birth to a business. That's part of, conceiving. That's part of mothering. There's so many other things that you can, and you probably already are contributing to society, but you need to accept the fact that the desire that you have will either not come to pass or not come to pass in the way in which you want it to. But there's still more life. There's still value. You are still a great person. And you have to recognize that even though your parents and your in-laws may want that for you, the reality is that if you have a child, they won't be there for the day-to-day. They're not going to be the person that's going to, contribute financially, contribute mentally, contribute emotionally. There are so many things that happen. Your body is at risk when you conceive a child. There's postpartum depression that can happen, postpartum anxiety, so many things that your body can go through after that experience that no one will go through but you. So you have to remove that desire to people and to live up to unrealistic expectations. At the end of the day, it's what you were purposed for, and there is more to life than being a mother. There is more to life than that. I promise you, you are still an amazing, valuable, purposeful individual if you do not have the title of mother. But you have got to come to that realization, and you've got to accept that for yourself.
And I love what you said and how you put it, right? And I just wanted to add, take a moment to grieve.
Yeah.
Take a moment to grieve the fact that this is something I really desired, and this is something I wanted for myself and my husband, and I cannot do it. I cannot accomplish it because that's not what God had in plan for me, right? Take a moment to grieve, because I think that's happens a lot of the time when we want something so desperately and so bad. It's like a loss, right? And we don't take that moment to grieve that that is something that, happened to us. We're hurt, we're in pain, we're suffering mentally,
Especially when it's been 5 years.
right?
Yes, I
It's a
understand.
long grieving process. So take a moment to grieve. Take a moment to step out of that situation and say, I am hurting. I'm in pain. I cannot do this anymore. But when you're done, get out of it. Because if you're not good for yourself, you're not good for the people around you. And you need to be good for the people around you, because guess what? You will be stuck in that state of just grieving over and over and over and over while everyone is moving forward. You don't want to be stuck there. So take that moment, grieve, evaluate, and move on.
Okay. Thanks for sharing, ladies.
Let me just add a little to what they've said. They've spoken so well. As a matter of fact, I'm truly learning from what they have just said. So the little thing that I need to add to what they've said is that after accepting that fact that sometimes certain realities are the reality, there's no give or take. It is life. Nobody is perfect in it. Nobody knows it better, So sometimes too, when we focus so much on some problems, they become so magnified that it begins to look like the whole world rests on it. But the reality is, it's not so. I'll give you an instance. This is my palm. If I place my palm close to my eyes, my palm being the problem that you probably think you have, a problem. Let me just use that term, a problem, which is probably a blessing, but you may not know. But when you put your palm close to your eyes, your problem close to your eyes, what happens? It blocks your view from the other side of the world. So when you take the palm away, you take the problem away, you're able to see other aspects of life. So when you focus too much on that problem, you will forget to see that you have a husband there to look after. Perhaps your union with your husband was to help build him to become the president that will probably save your country. You don't know, but you think it's that child. It's probably not that. Perhaps it could be a garden just in front of you that could grow beautiful flowers that will make you become a very noticeable person. You may not know, but when you focus too much on those problems, you get yourself blocked from other aspects of life that could be very, very useful to people other than having a child. So please, let's try a little sometimes to step away from whatever it is that is causing these distractions.
Oh my God, you have all spoken well. I'm so speechless. I don't even know if I should read out the third question because, oh my God, I feel so emotional right now. Guys, what do you think? Do you want to hear the third question or do you want us to move forward?
Let's hear the third question. Let's get to everybody.
Oh, the third question, it even gets more interesting. The third question says, I'm feeling anxious about getting old and not finding a life partner. I am in my 40s. I do not want to specify my gender.
Let me tell you, that is one of the things that we talked about all the time, the different stages in life, right? Michelle, what stage do you think that person in? They say they're in their 40s.
The person says they are 40. That would be generativity versus stagnation.
Exactly. So you said that the person say their gender, right? But it sounds like a woman because we all go through that phase where we turn in 40 and we feel like the world is coming to an end because nobody asked us to marry. But Friday, let me hear your take on it, because for us women, we've been planning the wedding since we were 5.
Absolutely.
Well, in my own opinion, I'm not sure there's any law that says somebody must get married. Like if I should look at creation, for instance, if it was meant to be, if every woman is meant to have a husband, or every man is meant to have a wife, maybe they both should have been born together. But we see them coming separately, which means at the end of the day, we are all still by ourselves. We are all standing alone. So the reality is there is no law, morally, that should make you feel bad because you're either not married or you're getting married late. Remember, it's not yet over. People get married at different times. Your year could not be the same with somebody else's own, but your own time is usually the best time for you. So in my opinion, it's not something you should worry yourself about, but what you should be thinking about is how, while you are alone, you could still be useful and productive and live a meaningful life. That's just what I see in it.
It brings me back to value. We talked about value. We talked about CBT. We talked about ACT. What if my value is I want to get married? How do we navigate that?
So I would suggest, right? So I feel like it's not good for man or woman to be alone. We hear that, you read that in the Bible. A lot of people say that. You look at your friends, your peers that are coupled up. I think intrinsically people want to feel loved and want to feel connected. But I would say if you have not found it romantically, recognize the love that you do have. Some people are very richly and deeply loved by their friends, by their family. There is love around you. And if you continue to look at that rather than you look at the absence of what you don't have, I think you will see that your life is still full and there's still potential. And I think that as we focus less on the partnership, and we focus on, the love that we have for ourselves, it's never too late for you to find someone. And even if you don't, the world is not over, and you still have the opportunity to experience love. I know people like to be able to come home, and there are certain things that you can do with a partner that you can't do with a friend, but it's okay, and you can still date and try and navigate life, with the expectation maybe this person may or may not work out. But if you release the pressure of believing that every person you encounter will or will not be your spouse, I think you'll be able to enjoy life more and enjoy the encounters that you do have.
Michelle, on a clinical aspect, I just wanted to, whether it's a man or a woman, I just wanted to tell you, step back, reevaluate your life, see why, right? Try to identify why. What are the things that prevented me from being married, right? What are some of the ways that I have, right? Because there could be a lot of things why we're not in that space to get married, right? We could be sabotaging our own relationship. Are you sabotaging your relationship, right? Is there a fear in you that making you feel every time somebody comes too close, you're pushing back, because you're coming too close? Evaluate, step back, think about it, reframe your thought process, and see exactly what you want. What, as Michelle said, what is your value? What are you valuing, right? And just look at it in that perspective and see where you are and where you want to be.
And clinically too, a lot of us tend to catastrophize a lot. I see this as all or nothing thinking, because this cognitive, this distortive thoughts that come into your head. I'm not going to get married. I'm not good enough. What if I don't get married? Nobody's good. That means I'm not good enough for somebody to ask my hand in marriage. I think you need to start reframing these thoughts. Like we talked about CBT, tame them. I'm good enough. I may not have found a partner, but I have other values. Like think about something you can do outside of that. And don't think about the worst case scenarios. If I don't get married, I'm going to die. If I don't get married, nobody's going to, society's not going to accept me. No, a lot of successful singles out there. Marriage should not define you. Okay? Because there are other things you can do with yourself apart from just being married.
And if you really decide you want to get married, you're just 40. You didn't even reach half a century yet. Think about it that way.
Yes.
I have a friend that got married at 50 for the first time, and I see it all the time. There are people who are getting married at 80. People get married at 75. If love is in your cards, it can happen when it happens. And as Friday said, your time is actually the perfect time for you.
Yeah.
And not a moment too soon.
That's right.
Hey, this was a lot today. And I hope that the listeners were able to take something away from today's episode, because I was almost coming. In fact, I was almost tearing up when Nicole was answering the second question. Guys, I hope you took something away from today's episode. I hope today touched your life. I hope, we were able to do something meaningful for you today. And for the people that asked the questions, I hope we were able to answer your questions the best way that, you think we could have answered your question. And thank you for your questions. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for bringing value. Thank you for trusting us enough to ask us these questions. Does anyone have any words or resources that they may want to give our listeners before we round up for today's episode?
So one thing I would just say to the person that really think that they're stuck at 40, go talk to a therapist. Talk it out. Talk it through, right? To see why you feel stuck and why you feel like you're not moving. You can tell us where you are and we can send you some resources
within your community. Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mr. Friday, any final words?
Yeah, just stay happy. That's it.
Happiness is free.
Stay happy. Helps a lot to be happy.
Yes. Nicole.
Yeah, joy is yours for the taking. And you can still be joyous, even recognizing that some of your dreams haven't come to fruition yet.
Thank you.
Can still
I
have
love
joy.
that. Yes. Nicole says, make sure you have that joy, even when you feel your dreams haven't come to fruition yet, because there's still time ahead of us. When there is life, there is hope. I hope we're able to touch somebody today. And remember, seeking help does not make you weak. It just makes you human. So talk to that person today, because remember, our episode was on stigma and mental health, right? Talk to somebody, because the more we talk about these things, the more the stigma loses its hold on us. See you next time, guys, and have a very great weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.